Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Three Things About the Browns. I'm Stephanie Haney here with voice of the Browns, Jim Donovan. And Jim, it's not another victory for us following up today.
No, not at all. In fact, an incredibly disappointing end of the season for the Browns. And I have to be honest with you, Stephanie, an incredible disappointment of a season. A major step back for the Browns this season in a year where we expected, at the very least, we'd be part of the tournament, part of the playoff field, if not the division champion, and to be eliminated 2 weeks before the end of the regular season, when you really consider that, despite losing last night. I mean, they were out Sunday night. To be eliminated 2 weeks before the end of the regular season with the talent on this roster is really without any kind of excuses. I mean, it really is. And I'm not buying into injuries. I'm not buying into COVID. And I say that because every team deals with that. And the Browns didn't deal with it that well, and they did have those issues. But the fact of the matter is, it is just inexcusable for this team to be watching the playoffs from the side.
It really is. And, it was definitely fallen short of expectations in a lot of ways. The ways you mentioned, that 26-14 loss against the Steelers, that was a real heart wrencher, and what will probably be saying goodbye to Ben Roethlisberger. But I have to ask you this, Jim, going out there were so many sacks. There were so many batted passes, interceptions. Do you think that those guys gave up before they got on that field?
I'd like to think no. I know that when I was over there very early in the afternoon and players were kind of milling about going out for an early stretch or things like that, there was a subdued feeling. When they got on the buses to leave for Pittsburgh on Sunday afternoon, the Chiefs were way ahead of the Bengals in that critical game. By the time they got over the Ohio border and into Pennsylvania, it became a very, very tight game, and Cincinnati had all the momentum and eventually won, so the division part was gone. And by the time they got off the bus, they knew they were totally eliminated. That does take a lot of starch out of you when you think you're going to go in and play a Monday night game and you still have a possibility of a path to win the division championship. But I still thought that they had put in so much preparation that they would like to win over in Pittsburgh. So the effort, I think, was definitely there. I will say this, a rookie right tackle, James Hudson, going up against TJ Watt with not a lot of help is not a sound way to play offensively. I'm shocked that the Browns went into that and thought maybe that kid was going to be able to control arguably the best pass rusher in the NFL. No slam on our guy, but this guy is really having a year. So I think that that's part of it. The other thing is, there are times Baker held onto the ball a little bit too long. There are times other things happen. So I think it's a combination of a lot of things, but it was a brutal night physically in the trenches and certainly at quarterback.
Sure. Yeah. We thought Myles Garrett had a lot of sacks, and then Watt entered the picture. He was all over the place. Now, we know that Baker Mayfield will not play against Cincinnati because he will be having that shoulder surgery. Is that the right move then right now for the franchise?
Yeah, I guess so. I have kind of a different read on this, Stephanie. I don't know what 4 or 5 days would have made a difference in this thing. I think this goes deeper. I sensed last night that there's a real frustration level between the quarterback and the team, and I think the quarterback is very frustrated at the way the year has gone. Certainly the way the games have been called offensively, maybe the whole structure of the offense, the way that maybe he's not being given the credit for playing through a lot of injuries. So I think there's a lot of emotion in the decision to not play, more so than I think, hey, I got to get this surgery right now. Because I have to be honest with you, Stephanie, there's a great argument that maybe he should have had the surgery, 7 or 8 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he should have had it after the second game of the season when the torn labrum occurred. And maybe we'd be farther down the road with him being 100%. Because if he has the surgery in the next couple of weeks, it's about 6 months of a rehab on that. That takes you into training camp. And would he be 100% by that time? So I think you have to figure there's a lot more emotion than there is timing to the surgery that goes into him not playing Sunday.
Well, definitely with that choice and keeping him in the game and not having that surgery those weeks ago, a lot of questions about Kevin Stefanski there. I'll save that for our last installment of Three Things About the Browns next week. So my final question for you today is, we'll end this on the most positive note we can, I guess. With that loss being out of the playoffs, how does that help the Browns for next year?
I think the Browns are so disappointed. I don't think the Browns are looking at draft capital right now. I think they're looking at quarterback capital, and that would be trade or free agency. That's the next big marketplace for them.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for that insight, Jim. I appreciate your time.
You got it.
We'll be back next week with 3 things about the Browns one more time this season.